that Santa Claus isn't just a jolly guy with a bag of gifts, but a bloodthirsty nightmare clawing down your chimney. Yeah, today we're unpacking Santa Isn't Real 2023, a holiday horror ride that flips every warm and fuzzy Christmas tradition upside down and sprays it with a candy cane red stream of psychological terror. This is a Christmas movie that slices straight through the tinsel into the heart of your worst December fears, blending cabin in the woods chills with ancient folklore and some seriously twisted friendship drama. If you think your Christmas family dinner is a nightmare, just wait until you see what Nikki and her crew go through. Let's dive in from the top. The film kicks off with festive lights and singing, painting the kind of small town Christmas everyone pretends to love, but underneath that merry surface, we meet Nikki. She's just woken up in the hospital, except she's been out cold for almost a year after what everyone says was a suicide attempt. Problem is, Nikki swears she didn't try to kill herself. Her memory of that night is patchy, haunting, but crystal clear on one thing: she was attacked, and not by just anyone, by Santa Claus. That's right. Red suit, white bird, big knife, and in this modern twist, a mask. As far as Nikki's concerned, Santa is real, and he's the monster in her Christmas nightmare. Of course, nobody believes her. Not her parents, the doctors, or even her closest friends. They call it delusion, brain damage, stress from cerebral hypoxia. Just medical speak for you lost too much oxygen, and now your wires are crossed. But Nikki is steadfast. Slowly, her frustration mutates into desperation, and you can feel this cloud of isolation choking her. Her friends come to visit and try to comfort her. There's her boyfriend Nathan, always trying a little too hard to be supportive, MJ, the sarcastic, loyal ride or die, and Jess, who seems distracted and uneasy. Despite Nikki's trauma, the group's own scars show. Last Christmas shook everyone, and whether they admit it or not, Nikki's coma has left a hole in their lives. Still feeling out of place and desperate to make a new start, Nikki asks them all to spend Christmas at MJ's snowy family cabin instead of at home. Maybe if they stick together, things will finally feel normal. Reluctantly, the group heads off, snow starts to fall, and that classic horror setup kicks in. Remote location, a snowstorm that locks them in, unreliable cell signals, and all the lingering darkness that only comes out when your oldest friends are trapped together. Once at the cabin, the ghost of last Christmas looms over everything. MJ jokes about growing up Jewish but loving Christmas. Nathan's trying too hard to keep things festive. Jess seems prickly, and Nikki, on crutches and prescription meds, can't shake her paranoia. They stuff themselves with food, reminisce, and even play Secret Santa, but tension crackles under every conversation. Nikki's attack slowly becomes the centerpiece. She opens up, telling her side Santa came through the chimney, took a knife from her kitchen and cut her wrists. Her friends chuckle at first, Santa really, but Nikki digs deep, pulling out all manner of folklore. Icelandic legends about monstrous Christmas witches, Krampus dragging wicked children to hell, the etymology of Old Nick being another name for Satan. She's not just scared, she's researched, determined. She insists they're dismissing the truth because they don't want to face something horrific hiding behind a familiar myth. But as the night wears on, the once supportive group cracks. Turns out while Nikki was in her coma, Nathan and Jess hooked up. MJ admits she knew about it, breaking a promise. It's a storm of betrayal, jealousy, and suppressed guilt. Nikki tries to brush it off, saying she's poly and forgiving, but everyone knows things aren't that easy. The best friends forever facade is dead, and secrets are flooding the cabin just as heavily as the snow outside. Meanwhile, weird things start happening. Mysterious noises, power outages, a missing dog, unsettling gifts in the Secret Santa exchange. Then, Nikki vanishes after a burst of argument. MJ and Nathan, frantic, try to find her as the cabin is swallowed by darkness. And then, one by one, the characters start to realize something evil is really lurking in the blizzard. Nathan, looking for Nikki, stumbles into the local church, where a spooky priest named Father Childreth rambles about the dark side of Santa. This is one of the most chilling parts of the movie. The priest rants about Santa being a Christ mockery, a supernatural force that feeds off the perverse mix of religious and pagan mythologies, a shadow self lurking beneath the Coca-Cola jolliness. This Santa, he says, isn't about joy and presents. He's a trickster, a judge, a punisher. Nathan barely survives the encounter as chaos breaks out again. MJ and Jess face off, blaming Nikki, blaming each other, spinning out under the pressure. One tries to call the police, but the storm has knocked out most communications. Paranoia ramps up. Is this just Nikki's cracked mind, influencing everyone, or is something truly supernatural playing out? It all comes to a head as the group, whittled down by violence and panic, finally faces the thing that's been hunting them. In a fever dream of violence and revelation, the line between Nikki's psychosis and reality is blurred into oblivion. Santa, or the thing wearing Santa's face, confronts Jess and Nikki, spitting out the line, "Have you been naughty or nice?" The group's betrayals and secrets are savagely called out, especially that Jess slept with Nathan and left Nikki emotionally orphaned. It's a vindictive sort of justice measured out not by a myth, but by the sins of the survivors. The climax barrels forward, snapping between accusations, confessions, and psychological horror. Nikki, in a hallucinatory or possibly possessed state, turns on Jess, blurring who is victim and who is perpetrator. The fight is less about escaping a monster, more about facing the darkness inside themselves, guilt, resentment, isolation, and the fear that they can never go back to how things were. As the dust settles, it's left deeply ambiguous if there really was a supernatural killer Santa, or if Nikki, traumatized and internally shattered, enacted a revenge tragedy of her own. Is the masked Santa real, or is it the fractured psyche of someone no one believed? The final sequence, with violence erupting and Nikki echoing, "Santa is real," is less a confirmation of supernatural horror than a gut punch of unresolved grief, guilt, and the agony of never knowing the difference between delusion and truth. Santa Isn't Real delivers a bleak, biting, and relentless Christmas horror story. The film uses ancient folklore and psychological horror to rip apart ideas of faith, friendship, and forgiveness. Every character is as flawed as they are sympathetic, and by the end, the viewer is left questioning not just if Santa is real, but if anyone truly saw or cared for Nikki's pain. So there you have it, a Christmas horror flick that makes you wonder if the real monsters are the ones in our stories, or the ones we become when everyone stops believing in us. Did Nikki really encounter a demonic Santa, or was the killer simply a manifestation of everything she'd lost? What do you all think? Drop your theories in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit like, share this video with your friends who love a good twist, and subscribe for more chilling recaps and breakdowns. Stay safe, and watch out for whoever's coming down your chimney this Christmas.